Before the fame, before the world ever heard the voice that could shatter glass and heal hearts at the same time, Kelly Clarkson was just a small-town girl from Burleson, Texas, who carried dreams far bigger than her surroundings. Born in 1982 to humble beginnings, she learned early that life doesn't hand out easy breaks. Her parents divorced when she was 6, leaving her mother, Jeanne, to raise 3 children alone. Money was tight, and so were emotions. But inside, Kelly burned a fire that no hardship could dim. She found comfort in music long before she ever held a microphone in front of millions. Singing was her refuge, a secret world where she could express everything she was too shy to say out loud. She didn't come from privilege or connections. She came from struggle, from long nights and hard lessons, from the kind of reality that builds resilience. At school, Kelly's voice began to draw attention. Teachers told her she had a gift, but Kelly didn't believe it at first. She wasn't chasing fame. She just loved the way music made her feel alive. When she sang, the world made sense. She started performing in local shows, church choirs, and talent competitions. But behind the applause was a young woman learning to stand tall in her own skin. Her strength wasn't loud, and it was quiet, steady, and unshakable. She faced rejection after rejection, sending demo tapes to record labels that all came back with the same answer: no. But that word didn't scare her. She collected those no's like fuel for her future. By the time she finished high school, life hit harder. Financial struggles meant college wasn't an option. She worked multiple jobs, from movie theaters to comedy clubs, barely making ends meet. But every night she went home to write, to dream, to believe that one day her voice would matter. Then in 2002, everything changed. A new show was launching, American Idol, a televised singing competition promising to discover America's next superstar. Kelly didn't plan on auditioning, but fate has a way of finding those who never stop moving forward. Her friends convinced her to go, and with nothing to lose, she stepped into that audition room with a voice that would change pop culture forever. She wasn't dressed like a diva. She wasn't trying to be perfect. She was just real, funny, humble, and bursting with authenticity. When she sang Aretha Franklin's Respect, the judges saw something rare, a powerhouse voice wrapped in genuine humility. Week after week, millions fell in love with her. She wasn't manufactured. She wasn't trying to impress. She was simply being Kelly, raw, honest, and radiant. America voted and history was made. Kelly Clarkson became the first American Idol winner, launching not just a career but a cultural movement. But winning wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of a new kind of battle. Overnight fame brought opportunity, but it also brought pressure. Record labels tried to mold her, tell her what to sing, how to look, what to say. But Kelly refused to be a puppet. She had come too far to lose herself now. Her debut single, A Moment Like This, became an anthem. But behind the scenes, she was already fighting for creative control. She didn't want to be another industry product. She wanted to be an artist with a voice that spoke truth. Her second album, Breakaway, was the moment she proved she wasn't a one-hit wonder. With songs like Since You've Been Gone and Because of You, she channeled heartbreak, independence, and vulnerability into anthems that spoke to millions. The world saw confidence. What they didn't see were the tears, the exhaustion, the endless hours of writing and recording. Every lyric was a piece of her soul, every note a statement of survival. Kelly wasn't chasing perfection. She was chasing honesty. As her fame grew, she stayed grounded in her roots. She didn't move to Hollywood to be part of the scene. She stayed true to her Texas heart, simple, real, and fiercely loyal to her family. She was never afraid to laugh at herself, to speak up for others, or to admit when she struggled. That transparency became her greatest strength. She showed fans that you can be powerful and kind, vulnerable and strong, all at once. But as her career skyrocketed, life threw new challenges. The higher she climbed, the harder it became to protect her authenticity in an industry built on illusion. There were creative clashes, personal heartbreaks, and moments of deep doubt. Yet every time life tried to silence her, Kelly came back louder, not just with her voice, but with her truth. Winning American Idol made Kelly Clarkson a household name overnight, but what came next tested her more than the competition ever did. The industry that had crowned her a star now wanted to control her every move. Every decision was filtered through marketing plans, image consultants, and corporate voices telling her what success should look like. But Kelly had never been one to follow the script. She didn't dream of being famous, she dreamed of being free. Her debut album, Thankful, sold millions. But behind the smiling press photos was a young woman learning the hard way that fame could feel like a cage if you didn't hold your own key. Kelly began to realize that real success isn't about applause. It's about ownership of your craft, your story, and your soul. When she started working on her second album, Breakaway, she decided it was time to speak louder than the expectations surrounding her. She wanted songs that weren't polished for radio, but honest about heartbreak, independence, and healing. The record label hesitated. They wanted safe pop. Kelly wanted truth. So she fought, not with anger, but with unshakable belief in her vision. She co-wrote much of Breakaway, pouring into it every frustration, every memory, every spark of rebellion she'd buried for years. When the album dropped in 2004, it became a phenomenon. Songs like Since You've Been Gone, Behind These Hazel Eyes, and Because of You became more than hits. They were anthems for anyone who had ever felt underestimated. Kelly didn't just win Grammys. She won hearts, respect, and independence. She had taken control of her art, and the world felt the difference. But with freedom came fire. The more she spoke up, the more resistance she faced. The label clashed with her creative decisions, and industry insiders whispered that she was difficult. Yet, Kelly refused to shrink herself to fit an image. She knew that silence would be easier, but truth would be worth it. Her next album, My December, was darker, rawer, a reflection of her struggles with fame, heartbreak, and identity. Critics were divided, but fans connected deeply. It was a risk, and it cost her. Strained relationships with executives, reduced promotion. But Kelly stood firm. "I'd rather be real and sell less than fake and sell more," she once said. That line defined her career. As years passed, Kelly's voice, both literally and metaphorically, only grew stronger. Albums like All I Ever Wanted, Stronger, and Piece by Piece showed a woman evolving, not just as an artist, but as a survivor of her own battles. Stronger, What Doesn't Kill You, became a global empowerment anthem, reminding millions that resilience is born from pain. Every note she sang carried the weight of her journey. The girl from Texas who once sang in tiny bars was now leading stadiums in songs about self-worth and strength. Her music spoke, but her heart shouted louder. Kelly began using her platform to uplift others, standing up for artists' rights, body positivity, and authenticity in an image-obsessed world. While others chased trends, she stayed timeless. She didn't conform to Hollywood's expectations. She created her own. She wore what she wanted, spoke how she felt, and lived by her own rhythm. That courage made her relatable. Not just a star, but a symbol of honesty. In her personal life, she faced heartbreak, love, and transformation with the same openness she brought to her music. When she married Brandon Blackstock, it seemed like a fairy tale. Together, they built a family. And for a while, Kelly balanced fame and motherhood with effortless grace. But life has its storms. When her marriage later ended, she didn't hide behind silence. She faced it head-on, turning pain into purpose. Through her divorce, she spoke about healing, resilience, and rediscovering herself, not as a victim, but as a warrior. Her song, Piece by Piece, captured that emotional arc, a story of loss, hope, and self-redemption. The world saw a pop star, but those who listened closely saw something greater, a human being who never stopped fighting for her truth. Kelly's strength was never about perfection. It was about persistence. Her laugh, her humility, her refusal to take herself too seriously, all reminded people that even the biggest stars can be beautifully ordinary. Then came The Kelly Clarkson Show, a talk show that perfectly reflected her heart. It wasn't about celebrity gossip or glitz. It was about real stories, laughter, music, and connection. Her natural warmth made every guest feel seen, every viewer feel heard. The show became another form of her music, not sung through lyrics, but spoken through empathy. And just like her songs, it resonated deeply. Through 2 decades in the spotlight, Kelly Clarkson has proven something extraordinary, that true success doesn't come from being adored, but from being authentic. She built her empire not on perfection, but on passion. She showed that you can lose battles and still win your life. Her story isn't just about rising, it's about rising again and again. She didn't just survive the industry, she redefined it. Kelly Clarkson became a living anthem of resilience, proving that the strongest voices are the ones that never stop singing, even when the world tries to silence them.